Everybody, welcome to the channel. We're doing experimental, which could be so many things. I mean, I looked in classical, there's plenty there. Jazz, any subgenre, like we talked about last week, like experimental doom, anything by Ralph, and I raised my voice there accordingly.
Ralph Records.
Anything by Ralph. It's really the difference between like doing a little dance, making a little love, and falling down the stairs. That's what experimental is to me. So anyway, I picked two with great covers.
I instead chose two examples of what could also be classified, rather unfortunately, given what happened to the genre, as industrial. But this is no Nine Inch Nails or anything like that.
Yeah, I chose a couple of experimental-ish records from the heavier side of music. In context, they were departures from anything these bands had ever done before. As I discovered in researching them a little, there's a bunch of weird parallels between the two. It's a mystery. All right, so my first record is Thin Lizzy's Thunder and Lightning from 1983. Thin Lizzy were, long running. They were a rock band who were in a lot, who had twin guitars, kind of like the Allman Brothers or something. Their main songwriter and band leader, a guy named Phil Lynott. This guy was a kind of genius. He was a great songwriter. So this was their final record. And this actually is the only album of theirs that I would feel comfortable even considering calling metal. It definitely edges up to metal territory. You could tell that they were influenced by like Ozzy Osbourne's first couple of albums and just basically the harder turn in, that metal took in the early 80s. There's a number of really hard driving songs. A final record, I think they were all heroin addicts at this point or something, so they were all in pretty bad shape. Phil Lynott died 3 years later. He never really got much else going after the band broke up, and he died at the age of 36. But so this was kind of their swan song, and it was definitely a departure in feel from anything they had recorded before. And it's a good way to go out. It's an excellent record. On the surface, this next record of mine doesn't have anything at all in common with that Thin Lizzy record. This is Disclose's final record. It came out in 2003. What is it again? Yesterday's Fairy Tale, Tomorrow's Nightmare. Disclose were probably the greatest of the bands descended from Discharge. They were in the lineage of Discharge, the English hardcore band in the 80s who were so great that they spawned their own subgenre, D-beat. Disclose took the Discharge sound to kind of absurd lengths. Except they were like the guitar tone was like super fuzzy and distorted. Everything was kind of blown out. But the band leader, a guy named Kawakami, was a genius at writing riffs and putting together short, like minute and a half D-beat songs. It is a departure from previous Disclose. They had put out a million singles and splits, but they had gotten more metallic over the years. And this album is definitely the heaviest of their records. And there's a final song on here. The last song on the second side is like 10 minutes long, which is unheard of for a D-beat song. It has an almost psychedelic effect. And nobody had ever done this in D-beat. And it's really, a really sort of hypnotic kind of vibe. A departure for this band, and it would prove to be their swan song as well. Kawakami died a few years later of alcohol poisoning, also at the age of 36.
So I have here, I have Pumice, entitled Pebbles from 2007. This is a one-man outsider band from New Zealand. And this is quite a romp through the id. I mean, it's quite intimate. And it might be looked at as a continuation of the Flying Nun artists, Tall Dwarfs, with all their analog loops, with their kind of experimental. But this is for a new generation, much younger guy, lo-fi, but the vinyl sounds great, even though it was probably recorded on a four-track cassette. Look at the cover. Pumice, it's like they're juggling. It's like the songs are juggling within this album. And then the back, sort of a weightless image there of a jumper. Okay, I would describe this as acoustic gradients to light sonic chaos. It's got a whole spectrum. It's a good example of skree, which I'll define as high-end textural wispy sort of background noise, as opposed to skronk, which this is not, which would be more of a foreground kick in the balls. Anyway, I consider it rural and shambolic. It's sort of a postmodern fracturing of the blues. Also, I would describe it as molten, loose, and gauzy. These are really strange compositions that reveal themselves with surprise. And it makes me think of the John Peel quote for The Fall: always the same, always different. If you're interested in outsider music, you need this. I keep it in my New Zealand section. And then I have Bardo Pond, Peace on Venus, a Philadelphia band from 2012. It is a full band, but it's really based around the two brothers who have dueling guitars. Think Neil Young at his heaviest. This is some heavy goo. And the flutist and singer of dystopian lullabies and mantras, which makes it sort of quasi religious, or that's my impression. Anyway, she sort of drifts in and out of this sonic mayhem and really keeps things interesting. So the songs vary. There's articulated heavy riffs and distortion to acoustic fingerpicking. These are open-ended compositions with lots of room for improvisation. It's sort of like stoner rock combined with Kosmisch, the German sort of ambient music. And I'm sure that I heard about them by reading the Bull Tongue Journal. So this is an
Is
amazing record with reverb drenched haze. And this happens to be a Fire Records reissue. Um, Stark and different and possibly difficult. I keep it in my hard to listen to section. Ah,
Well, my contribution to today's smorgasbord is Foetus. There's about a million different Foetus projects. This is perhaps the most widespread or the most commonly used moniker, scraping Foetus off the wheel. We also have Philip and his Foetus vibrations, Foetus under glass. You've got Foetus on your breath. Um, and Foetus interruptus. I don't know. There's a host of them, but it's all one guy, and amazingly, he does everything himself. But J.G. Thirlwell, one man's maniacal vision of what multi-tracking can do. So this is truly experimental music, I think, because it's the very the provenance of the sounds can be really any number of things from film samples to metal percussion played in the studio, multi-track vocals that kind of do a doo-wop style. Um, there's loud and abrasive guitar. I mean, the overall effect is a bit like a sort of possessed jukebox spewing out songs about the sort of tortured inner lives of dictators. Fun stuff. If you're into sort of the effects of really bad acid trips in the Lower East Side in early 80s New York. Songs are memorably titled things like Lust for Death, I'll Meet You in Poland, Baby, Hot Horse, and Sick Man. Sick Man being to the tune of the Batman theme. This is some postmodern pastiche, big time. This is destined for immortality. Is from some French brothers, Eric and Mark Hurtado, or Hurtado. Etant Donnes, and Etant Donnes take their name from a Marcel Duchamp work of art that is actually housed in Philadelphia. That is this kind of enigmatic thing where you peek through a little fissure or rent or keyhole or something and see this androgynous figure lying in a field. That's the background behind the name, and they make really unique sounds. It's very, I like to think of it as phenomenological music. It's like the sound of sounds being perceived. There's lots of uh, there's no identifiable instrumentation at all, no drums, no guitar, no bass. Instead, everything has a sort of natural source. But it's on a scale that is really surprising because normally you hear these sounds in miniature like bees, but then the bee will be just this huge buzzing that takes up, the entire everything, the entire sort of plane of audition, if that's a term. There's bees, there's water, there's whispering, there's wind, there's all of these sounds that are normally ephemeral and slight that are pushed front and center. And the lyrics are which are sort of breathed heavily, are very minimalistic too. They're just, the names of like sun, moon, stars, things like that. Once again, very trippy stuff, kind of like a journey into the dirt among the ants and in into the hive or colony where different rules of life apply. So Etant Donnes, I recommend anything by them too.
It's with the microorganisms everywhere.
I think I'll maybe tell some jokes to really, get us going here. Sexy bananas.
You're a big tease.
It's a mystery. Kind of eerie.
Bustier.
He was in the next journal.
He was in touch with underground.
Is it part of the Pigfuck movement?
The mastermind of the Pigfuckery. Piping hot.
Is that music concrete?
Journey into the dirt.
Yeah, it is. It's a kind of music concrete. Yeah, that's
Found sounds.
I don't know where they're getting their ant sounds.
Damn Christians.
Dominant jazz force.
Jazzbo 1, Jazzbo 2, Jazzbo, Jazz Nut,
Jazzosis.
Jazz Femme.
Jazz Dom. Beating people into submission with my hard bop.
Give you an animal suit, what would it be?
Skunk.
Bear.
Shut up.